The Yandex code leak. Is it a big deal in the SEO industry? Yes. Is it polarizing? Absolutely. Is it a big MacGuffin that might not have any actual insights into what you should be doing with SEO? Maybe, but maybe not. Check out this episode of the SEO Weekly where our own correspondent Michael King dives into our feature story, the Yandex code leak. What does it mean? Let's get to it. Welcome back to the SEO Weekly, where queries are weird, advice is controversial, and everything depends. I'm your host, Garrett Sussman of iPullRank, and every week I cover everything going on in the world of SEO. We're talking AI content, Google updates, blog posts, podcasts, webinars, you name it, I'm on it. If you're into this stuff, please subscribe to the channel and on YouTube, give us a like, share on social. I genuinely appreciate it. So excited to talk about a big, massive Yandex code leak, talking a lot of AI content, some new tools, some SEO imposter syndrome, and so much more. So let's get to it. So it was actually a bit of a quiet week in the world of Google, maybe with everything going on with the algorithm updates in 2022, along with the e-commerce search enhancements, plus all this hoopla around AI content and ChatGPT and code reds. And there's a lawsuit dropped on the advertising department on Google. They kind of pulled back with the content rollout. That said, there was a cool little case study, which they don't do too often, all around how Vimeo improved video SEO for their customers. So highlighting how Vimeo, with their video player, added structured data around the video object, along with the index if embedded tag. So video content could be indexed at scale, even if it's on a no index page, and they could surface those key moments, that really cool visual enhancement for a Vimeo video that you typically see only for YouTube. Now, I'm not saying there are ulterior motives, but it's always interesting for Google to highlight a competitor, obviously in this case, a YouTube competitor, on their documentation, maybe in the context of a big monopoly challenge. I don't know. I'm just conspiracy theorizing out there. Anyway, it was a really cool case study. So if you do any sort of video content production and you want to focus on indexing, always look back to that structured data and those best practices. Great case study there by Google. Speaking of Vimeo and Google, another little interesting Google tidbit, John Henshaw, who's Senior Director of SEO at Vimeo, surfaced a new Google Search Console report experiment all around content ideas. He shared on LinkedIn his take. A new section called Content Ideas lists topics and article ideas. The recommendations appear based on machine learning analysis of the site's best performing content. The purpose looks twofold. For the site, it's a list of ideas to write about, and for Google, it's a request for more and better content for search queries that lack good results. Part of me appreciates the experiment, while the other part feels like a lifeless machine is attempting to get humans to finish a job where only the machine benefits. I totally get John's take, but as an SEO and content creator, anytime Google is basically telling you, hey, there's an opportunity here for you to rank and drive valuable traffic to your website for something that's relevant to your topic, I'd say, heck yeah, let's jump on that. Now, not to be the bearer of bad news, easy come, easy go, but Barry Schwartz highlighted that this experiment is ending at the end of March, so maybe it's short-lived, maybe it'll be rolled out to everyone, but it's a really cool way for Google to actually help out SEOs. And yes, we might be doing their job for them, but that said, value. I'll take it. And now for the feature story of the SEO Weekly. What happens when the SEO community gets their hands on leaked source code fragments from Russia's biggest search engine, Yandex? Well, we've got our man in the field, correspondent Mike King, to tell us the story. Over to you, Mike.
Thanks, Garrett. I'm correspondent Mike King reporting that Russian tech company and search engine Yandex has had its code base leaked into the public domain. A disgruntled employee said to have dumped code from the Arcadia repository that holds source code to Yandex's services. Including in that code is, of course, the Yandex search engine. The move is unprecedented, and not since the 2006 AOL search log release have we seen something so tangible from a search engine. However, Yandex is not Google, so why do we care? Well, Yandex is a state-of-the-art search engine built from much of the same open source technologies as Google, including protocol buffers, MapReduce, BERT, and TensorFlow. At the very least, we're getting a window into the ranking factors and how they are used. Interestingly, the SEO community was quick to run with one of the ranking factors files and reported that there were 1,922 ranking factors. Further analysis shows that there are really nearly 20,000 ranking factors for consideration. Check out our further reporting at Search Engine Land, authored by me, for more details on how Yandex works and how we can use that to inform hypotheses for what we should be testing in Google. Over to you, Garrett.
Thanks, Mike. Truly a fascinating story that we're going to have to keep our eyes on. So there you have it. Major leak by Yandex. SEOs everywhere are diving in deep. As Mike mentioned, keep your eyes peeled for his Search Engine Land blog posted article where he goes deep into all of the clues that piece together this greater story. Remember, you can't come up with anything definitive from these insights. It's only part of the picture. It's bits and fragments, but it does give you insight how to a modern state-of-the-art search engine works. Also, beyond Mike's Twitter thread, where he goes deep and analyzes it ranking factor by ranking factor, Alex Burrix does the same thing on Twitter, where he goes through it, surfacing things like how, Yandex is scraping TikTok and YouTube and all these other tools. Fascinating stuff, interesting story, really cool. Let's move on. So there was some interesting news in the world of AI generation and SEO last week. First off, BuzzFeed stock soared 90% on the news that they were going to start using OpenAI and ChatGPT for some of their polls and their quizzes and their personalized content. Interesting kind of duality in terms of CNET gets crushed for using AI, BuzzFeed gets a huge boost. We'll see how that plays out. Maybe the stakes aren't as high, but interesting, kind of hypocrisy, if you will, of the media on that. So John Kirchenbauer and Jonas Geiping of the University of Maryland produced a watermark that can be used for large language models. Basically, this is kind of tokens of code inside algorithmically placed into the AI-generated text, meaning that you'd be able to tell that it was written by AI as opposed to a human, okay? So big deal. We know watermarks on photos. You can do watermarks on text. On the other side, this is an impetus for people to create some sort of software that would de-watermark the watermark. So who knows how long that would last, but that does feel like a breakthrough in AI generative content. Great interview conversation on Aleda Solis' Crawling Monday. She had Morty Oberstein and Darth Autocrat on to talk all about ChatGPT, opportunities, risks, tools to use, all that. When it comes to using like ChatGPT use cases, I think Darth Autocrat breaks it down perfectly with his analogy. Take it away, Darth.
I think the easiest way to view it is you've got a 10-year-old, maybe a 12-year-old, and you've sat them down with a bunch of books, got them to read the books, and then ask them to write out a description. Explain something to you based on what they've read, because that's all ChatGPT is doing. It's consumed content that's been tagged. It's not just the words, it's the topics, the subjects, the domain. It's limited to what it's learned, and it can only produce what it's seen. Whether it gets it right, whether it remembers correctly and associates stuff, the more you ask it to do, the less likely it is to produce something valid. So, as Mordy said, it's basically stuck with doing paraphrasing, rewriting, resaying, and short bits, titles, headings, maybe link text, possibly anything up to a description. I wouldn't trust it to do more than a paragraph or so at a time. I made a little tweet with a scorecard on it, listing things like you can go for breadth, but you can't do depth because it scores higher. And once you go over a certain score, your risk of having inaccuracies and producing something nonsensical go up drastically. And yet people want to use it for big pieces of content. They want to do long form about topics they don't even understand, which is where the real risk is.
So there you go. I think that's pretty good advice when it comes to using AI generated content. You guys have a bunch more. Check out the rest of the video. And finally, check out the replay of our own webinar, AI Content for SEO. Andrea Volpini of Wordlift and I did this great webinar last week. Andrea basically dropped so many insights. He wrote codes and collabs that you can use to do chain prompting, which is basically moving Chat GPT around with a series of prompts to get better answers, because sometimes the logic that Chat GPT uses isn't always accurate on one try. So you need to break it down into these chain prompts. The other idea he talked about, which is really interesting, kind of relevant to Pete Myers, Dr. Pete's hallucinations, is that as these models, these large language models get bigger and more massive, like GPT to GPT-4 with trillions of parameters, there's these emerging behaviors. So it can accomplish more, but there are also unexpected side effects. So as these, as this research develops, we're going to see more cool things from AI generative content, but there's also potentially unexpected behaviors that could throw a wrench in the gear. So something to pay attention to. Definitely watch that replay. So many interesting insights from Andrea about like in context prompting, chain prompting, large language models, you name it. Good stuff. Check it out. Links in the description notes. Even though Andrea Volpini shared a bunch of collabs about how you can start using ChatGPT and chain prompting, an additional resource was posted on LinkedIn by Kristen Tinsky of Fractal. Really cool. She's been doing a lot of research, and she put together a nifty prompt chaining Python script that you can use for power users to get more out of your prompts. She made the code available. Definitely a great follow on LinkedIn in general, because she's learning and building in public for, these various scripts of using ChatGPT or other AI tools. So check that out. Really cool. Moving on to LinkedIn, Jessica Redman put together this really great, interesting post all around using ChatGPT for landing pages. She gave examples of her prompts, from getting keywords all the way to content brief creation to dropping H1s and H2s. But what's really interesting about her post is the comment thread. This thing went viral, and it shows the polarizing opinions of ChatGPT, where people will kind of dismiss any use case for SEO and say it's problematic, where other people are acknowledging kind of what Morty was saying, that there are certain situations where it is appropriate to use it for research. For instance, we know that ChatGPT is trained on information from 2021. So if you have evergreen content, then you could potentially use that. And if you have a sense of those topics, you'll know that we're going in the right direction. Now, you'll still want to fact check 100%, and whether or not that ultimately saves you time is still questionable. For idea generation, or kind of if your brain is not working and you need some inspiration to kind of get you going in the right direction, these prompts could be super helpful, especially for evergreen types of content. So definitely recommend checking out that conversation, all the comments back and forth from Jessica and the rest of the community. Some of it's a little toxic, but ultimately it's interesting. It's very interesting. Solid post on LinkedIn by Ross Hudgens of Siege Media, talking all about direct competitors versus content competitors in SEO. You're going after a keyword, you're trying to rank high, you're thinking about, oh no, other people who make the similar product, can I rank above them so they'll choose, potential customers will choose me. You don't want to forget about content competitors. Sometimes that's like a media publisher who is also trying to educate their audience. So overlapping personas, but not necessarily selling the same sort of products. You don't want to just, when you're going into an SEO content strategy, only think about your direct competitors, because there's more to the game than that. Mahir Naik put together this really cool framework visualization flowchart on LinkedIn, all about indexing strategy for tech SEO. Basically, he goes through, all these situations where something is crawlable but not indexed, discovered but not crawled, all these different situations that you run into as an SEO as to why Google's like, I don't don't think your content's worth it. He breaks it down visually and then shows specific tactics on how you can potentially solve those situations. He's been a great follow on LinkedIn recently, producing a lot of great content all around technical SEO, various frameworks. So give him a follow, check it out. Awesome resource there. Great article on Stacker by Amanda Milligan, all about scaling SEO, like how to create lasting organic growth. She reached out to MarketMuse, Seer Interactive, Verblio, and asked for their tips on how do you scale a program effectively, and broke it down into 3 pillars and how to prioritize where to start between those pillars. So first was technical SEO, then on-page content, and then off-site authority. So breaking down the focus on technical SEO, and then, making sure that you have all that foundation set and scaling quickly, and then having a robust content strategy. And then the final part is that off-site, focusing on links, whether it's earning links passively with great content or earning it actively by going out to news sources and basically providing your story with a link back to your site. Awesome article. A lot of great resources tied to it as well. So check that out. Little technical SEO pro tip from Oliver H.G. Mason, all about how you can use custom sitemaps to fix validation issues faster. Basically, he realized, you can look at Google Search Console and submit a custom sitemap for just part of an issue. So if you don't want to go through and wait till everything's fixed, you want to just focus on important pages that have been fixed, create that custom sitemap, update it, get in Google Search Console, and hopefully it validates a lot quicker. Just a great little insight. Might have been around for a while, but just kind of highlighting that if you're running into any sort of validation fixing issues quickly. Nice job, Mr. Mason. It's always helpful to look at data and see trends, even if it's not definitively telling you anything prescriptive. So when Lily Ray puts out the Systrix, losing domains in 2022 on Google, it's really interesting to see what insights come up. So if you want to take a look, she covered a range of different topics about which domains actually lost the most visibility according to that metric produced by Systrix, like how much it shows up in the Google search. She covered, publisher news sites, product review sites, dictionary sites, job sites, e-commerce, user-generated content sites, financial sites, travel, hospitality, airlines, and so ultimately, you can take a look and see over the course of the entire year where there was so much volatility, so many changes in the SERPs, who ultimately was losing. She has the winners as well. So not to be pessimistic, negative person. So check that out. Interesting data. Serious kudos to Glenn also for updating his epic post on detail for the $122 billion SEO industry, 31 success stories for 2023. He meticulously reaches out to companies or scours the internet to find information up to date on revenue, how much they're producing, both for like agencies, SaaS companies, media publishers, various success stories. So if you're curious to see how much different agencies or SaaS companies make on an annual recurring basis, check out this post. It's updated. It's not just like, done 10 years ago and never updated. Glenn's on top of that. And he just recently went for another round. So check it out. Really cool. And he details all of his updates as well. Jonas Sickler of Terrakeet has positioned himself as a very much an authority on topic clusters and pillar pages. He's written a bunch of great articles about them, been on various webinars. He produced a great comprehensive article for Wix all about how to use this strategy to your advantage in SEO. He breaks down step-by-step keyword research process, how to cluster your topics and bucket them hierarchically. Really great practical know-how of how to do this strategy, which is, very much kind of appreciated and respected in the SEO community as an effective way to earn topical authority on your specific sphere of influence, if you will. Great job, Jonas. Awesome article. The SEO industry absolutely can be intimidating. You can go years and years and years performing SEO and still run into situations that give you imposter syndrome. In fact, Sarah Fernandez Carmona listed all the ways and reasons that we might feel imposter syndrome as SEOs and how we can overcome them. She even got some testimonials from experienced SEOs sharing their personal experiences as to why they may have felt it, how they overcame it over the years. She goes through those reasons why why we might have it in terms of like staying up to date in the industry. Not easy to do. So many it depends situations, and no one knows definitively the right answer all the time. And it is a really competitive industry. So, bottle up those fears, try to push down those negative thoughts, join the community, find yourself mentors, and just keep chugging along. She got some great quotes from Lily Ray, Aleda Solis, Daniel K. Chung, Roxana Stingu, and so many more. Great article by Sarah, definitely worth checking out and feeling inspired. And so you don't get kind of pushed down in your own thoughts about whether or not you're good enough, because SEO is hard, but you can do it. Sandbox put together a really cool keyword research tool. Basically uses GPT-3 along with search volume and SEO. You put in the keyword in the search bar, it spits out a whole list of keywords in that topic cluster with the search volume statistics. Then you can actually dive in deeper and easily look at Google Trends or images or even the SERP results related to it. Great way to use GPT-3 to deliver a little bit of your keyword research, naturally double check everything, because with all my caveats when it comes to using AI, you always got to check but verify. But if you're looking for inspiration and you want to see the search volume easily, this is a cool little tool that's free that you can use. Remember our webinar on AI content for SEO with WordLift? Well, Andrea Volpini put together a really cool little free tool that he mentioned in the webinar for an AI question answering tool. The cool thing about this is it actually extracts text from a URL, then generates questions and answers, a little bit of an FAQ for it, which is really nice because, for instance, ChatGPT, you can't necessarily pump in extracted URLs and have it do content based on that. That's just not how it's trained, but this tool does that. So really cool work by the WordLift team. Check it out. Really helpful for generating kind of like FAQs. Double check, obviously, but looks pretty good. I've played around with it. I like it. I like it a lot. Well, that's it. Another episode of the SEO Weekly in the books. So many interesting stories, especially that Yandex story. What do you think? Have you looked at the ranking factors? Any sort of insights or takeaways? As always, appreciate you checking out the episode. If you would please subscribe to the channel, give us a like, leave a comment, and share on social. I genuinely appreciate it. My name is Garrett Sussman of iPullRank. If you want to look for any of the articles referenced in the video, they are in the description down below. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next week. Peace.